Welcome back to Inside the Therapy Room, Unpacking Mental Health. Long time no here. Uh,
Okay.
you're here with your host, Adriana.
And Jewell.
We have taken a long break to kind of recalibrate ourselves, but we are back and we are going to get started on emotional and spiritual intimacy and just diving a little bit deeper into this.
I love to engage with what you're saying. So let's go.
So I would say, how do we start? This is a big deal, right? Emotional intimacy. What is it, right? We have emotional intelligence, emotional maturity. Like those things go into emotional intimacy.
hmm I know.
So, yeah.
I know the Gottman Institute, which we both enjoy when we're talking about couples, they talk about intimacy being knowing and being known,
Uh-huh.
and then feeling emotionally safe, chosen, and understood.
Uh-huh.
When we're talking about intimacy, because a lot of times intimacy gets
Uh-huh.
confused with sexual intimacy, right?
Yeah.
We need all of these things to exist inside of a space that where couples are existing and either they're cohabitating together or however they're
Healthy
really.
relationships require.
Thank you. Healthy is the word we want.
No. Emotional intimacy, I think, is also one of the biggest reasons why there's a disconnect between couples, especially who have
Mhm,
been married for a long time.
mhm.
You could be married for 20 years and then all of a sudden divorce, and that happens a lot, and it's usually because emotional intimacy is not there. Um,
Yeah, when emotional intimacy dies, couples don't fight anymore. They stop fighting, they stop trying.
and then one person feels neglected and they either cheat or they leave or both.
Yeah. Emotional intimacy is the space of being able to express fear, desire, shame, disappointment without being punished. And a lot of times, if you can't do that within your long term relationship, you're going to find a relationship where you can do that.
And it's
Mm.
also about like respecting and repairing, right? So like
Mhm.
if we hurt our partner, we need to be able to like repair it in a way that feels repairing to them, not to us.
Right. We've talked before about how there's three entities involved in a relationship. It's one person of the couple, the other person of the couple, and then the actual relationship itself. And so that's important to remember.
I feel like it's lacking. It lacks a lot. It's really hard if you are raised in a family who avoids emotions or your emotions have always been shut down. You've always been told like your emotions aren't valid in some kind of way. Um, Emotional intimacy is harder 100% because of those reasons. But that's not an excuse to just not do it. It is really an excuse for you to step forward and say, hey, I'm struggling. How do we fix this?
Right. Recognizing who you are as a person, or do you feel like vulnerability is a threat? Do you feel like needs equal weakness? Do you feel like dependence equals danger? These are important things to know about you because that means
Mhm.
that you are going to fear this intimacy that we're talking about, this emotional intimacy.
I just hate it because, like I said, like there are lots of reasons why you might not be comfortable having the conversation. I know there's a little bit about like safety in your current relationship that's also there, right? Like if you're not safe in your current relationship, you're not going to have emotional intimacy. And that safety, yeah, is really important.
Absolutely. And I know moving forward, we've been promising how the series are going to keep going, and we've talked before about going moving forward with personality disorders. That's going to be
Mhm.
something we really talk about there. We talk about any relationship where there is a disordered mind that's going to exist. So, what are you actually asking of your partner? Is it a safety they can offer?
Mhm. Right? Is that a safety they can offer? That's
Well,
a great one. And
no.
like, and if it's not, but you still want to be with your partner, what does it look like then?
That is something I have been challenging a lot of my clients with lately, and it sounds crass because it's me saying, well, you're choosing this. At this point,
Mhm.
we've spent time together recognizing what your partner can and can't offer. And you are recognizing they can't offer this and you're staying in the relationship. So at that point, it becomes your choice,
Mhm.
right?
It does. It's actually really funny. I think it's the hardest thing to get around, right? We want people to improve for us. We want them to show us we are worthy. But if we don't feel that worthiness ourselves, can we really ask that of them?
How are you going to love somebody else if you can't even love yourself? Can I get an amen, RuPaul? Yes.
And it's not necessarily like the cliche, well, they can't love you. It's just that you can't feel how they are loving you.
Yeah.
and that
Absolutely.
you can't accept them for who they are fully and love
Right.
them for who they are fully because you're not able to see for yourself.
Right, and we've talked in other episodes. I know it's been a while since we've all met
Mhm,
together, but we've talked in other episodes about how this is not, being mindful of this is not them saying, no, I'm not going to take out the trash. No, I'm not going.
mhm,
That's not who they are. We're talking about who they are as a human and
mhm,
what you're expecting of them without asking them how you can help them grow or if that's even something they're interested in growing in, right? If you have a emotionally distant partner and they're saying to you, I don't want to talk about things. Talking about things is not safe for me. You say, I really need a relationship where we have verbal communication often. Is that something you're willing on growing with me? That gives them the opportunity to say yes or no. And
mhm,
if they say no, they mean it. They're
mhm,
not it's not something you can bully into them later.
mhm. No, it really isn't, and, like, if they don't want it, don't be with them. Just
Right.
it's easier to just separate.
Absolutely, it is. I know it's not like to the world, it's moving through the world feels a lot safer, essentially,
Mhm.
when we're talking about these tangible things, moving through the world feels safer with another person, but
And it
at
is cheaper 100%
it is.
in some ways.
And we're talking about, we're also talking about the potential of giving up time with your children, something that giving into something that you never thought you would be if you're a married person, right? You never
Mhm,
thought you would get divorced. Remember, there's a lot of gray area here, and it takes small steps to get to the space that you want to exist in. Our minds tend to take change, every change is always perceived as negative first. So remember that and sit with that. Do you want to talk about attachment theory at all here?
real. Not prepared for that amount of gray area to talk about
Well,
today.
that's fair.
I wanna kind of, like, move into, like it's also important to know how you and your partner are gonna process your emotions, and this includes anger, right? We know that anger is a cover emotion, but anger is still expressed as aggression for a lot of people. You should probably know how your partner expresses their anger.
Absolutely.
My husband gets really annoyed and he gets short with me, and I just give him this look like, "I don't know who you're talking to." But I have to remind myself, he's not talking to me.
Yes.
He's not using that voice with me. He's using that voice in general, and it just happens to be directed because I asked him a question,
Yes. I had a
which I know
client.
sounds, like, weird, but, like, that's the truth of it.
It doesn't sound weird, and if you really sit with yourself long enough, you can recognize, remember, this is not about placing blame, but really sitting with yourself and going, I have a great example of a 14-year-old who was in my office yesterday, and she said, "Yeah, I don't know." I asked her if her level of emotion matched the situation she was in, and she goes, "No." Like, just immediately, "No." And I was like, "Whoa, that's good insight." And she goes, "No." She goes, "My sister opened my bedroom door, and I was furious, furious." She said, I wanted to like physically hurt her. And why? She just opened my bedroom door. I was on the phone with my boyfriend and my mom asked me a question and I got so mad at her. Why? It didn't make the level of anger I felt did not make sense. This is a 14-year-old telling me this, guys. Like
Mhm,
it can be done if you feel safe enough to sit with yourself, look in the mirror, and actually have this conversation. Understanding
mhm,
that there are times whenever you are responding, I know I'm talking more about your husband, like being the one
mhm,
who's saying, like, he's not responding to you. There's
mhm.
something else that has already disorganized his nervous system, and you are the one that has become the person in the room that he can yell
Yeah,
at, essentially, or get angry with, even though it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes we have to take ourselves out of that.
yeah. Like, it's like that, like, "Hey, guess what? You're not the center of the universe."
Yeah,
And that's
that's
okay, that's normal, you shouldn't be.
we don't want to be the center of our partner's universes. That's not healthy, right?
Mhm,
We want to be considered. We
mhm,
want to be part of the world we're creating with them.
mhm,
They don't want to be the reason that they emotion the way they emotion in every
mhm.
capacity. You gotta take that off
No.
your shoulders a little bit.
That's very unhealthy.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, no, that one's a big one, though. I think that a lot of people get a lot of things screwed up. They think if their partner, fusses, it's always about them, or if they're always angry, it's always about them just because they're like directing it. But I also tell people sometimes, like, you're your spouse's safe person sometimes, and whether or not that's reasonable is not the issue at the moment. It's just acknowledging that this is who you are for them and this is why they're responding the way they are.
Well, think also about how we talk about being in the therapy room, right?
Mhm.
We talk to our clients. There are a lot of times where I will ask a client a challenging question and they will sit in with it inside of
Mhm.
themselves for a second. And then they'll come back to me and they'll say, I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to say it. And I'll say, just start brainstorming. Just start brainstorming. Because remember, in this space, you can't hurt me. Just start brainstorming, just
Mhm.
start letting some words come out and we will put them together. And a lot of times you have to remember if you have a close, intimate relationship with someone, I'm not talking about therapist and client now, I'm talking
Mhm.
about your romantic relationship. If you guys are in a safe, intimate space, that person's going to feel safe enough to start brainstorming some stuff out of their mouth and
Mhm.
hope that you are in a space that you can catch it and go, okay, now you've handed all this to me. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what this really means. Not for you to hold it and infer from it, but yeah.
And this is, I think, the part of the emotional, like, intelligence and maturity part of
Hmm.
emotional intimacy that's really, really important. It is, I just took in some information. What is this information saying? Do I need more
Exactly.
clarification before I make a conclusion? Let me go get it.
Right. Because remember, you have a baseline of feeling safe, feeling chosen, and feeling understood by your partner, even whenever you say words that maybe are not safe or
Mhm.
chosen or understood.
Mhm.
Have a baseline understanding in a safe and healthy, in a healthy, intimate relationship.
Yeah. And it's important to be able to do that, to be able to stop for a second and not react just because. And not to use mental health issues as your reasoning for reacting. Like, I have ADHD. Guess what? I still pause.
Y'all, if I reacted how my anxiety wants me to react every time I needed to react to something, the
Mhm.
world would be on fire. We have to
Yeah.
be able to we recognize of what is going on in our brains so that we can learn skills to cope with those things and make them work for our lives, not to make excuses for how we move through our lives.
But I think that this is so important also for parents to recognize for their children, right? And this is, I don't care how old your child is. If they are like flipping out on you for a reason, take a deep breath and figure out what's happening. One, you're the adult in the room, so you're the one who should have it more together. But two, they are dysregulated in the moment. And
Mhm.
they are trying to tell you something through those
Mhm.
emotions. And you are reacting instead of listening.
Right. And there are times where it's difficult to understand that you need to get into it. You understanding what they're trying to tell
Mhm.
you is not you saying, I am condoning the action that you're giving right now.
Yeah.
You have to remember that step between because this is another intimate relationship. This is where safety exists. This is where
Mhm.
understanding exists. This is where you need to be curious and not say, I think the thing that's the most frustrating for me, and I can say this because I've never felt this. I've done a lot of really tough things as a parent, but like this is one thing I've never done is I've never said it's because my daughter hates me. That's not
Mhm.
real. Your child does not hate you. So in
Mhm.
that moment where you're trying to understand why they're dysregulated, it's not you can't make that about yourself or you are going to dysregulate right with them. You have to
Mhm.
understand what level of, what is their age and stage? Are they 1, 5, 15, 19? Like, where are we at?
30.
Because there is
Mhm.
still so much that they have in their mind about that you are a safe person that they can dysregulate in
Mhm.
front of, right?
Mhm.
Because you need to be the dysregulator. Then after they're dysregulated, you talk about the behavior. You talk about
Mhm.
how next time this is what we need to do.
Mhm.
I have a client who does it amazingly with her 4-year-old all the time, right? In
Mhm.
the moment, it's smelling the flowers, breathing in, and blowing out the candles, breathing out. And that's
Mhm.
what they focus on together until after, and now he can do it on his own. She doesn't have to
Mhm.
do it with him every time.
I think it's so adorable when that happens, by the way.
I know.
When kids learn that, "Oh, I can regulate." Now, just anyway, someone has to be the regulator. You both can't be all dysfunctional together. That's not healthy, and that doesn't ever work in the long run.
No,
Someone has to be regulated so the other person can also regulate.
and it's the same in your adult relationships.
Mhm.
This is not you can't always think with you are married to someone, you can't always or if you are I hate to keep saying married. You are in an intimate relationship with someone that has existed and is very you guys are together a lot, right? Let's say you live
Mhm.
together. You cannot say, "Well, they're dysregulated because they hate me." You have to say, "Okay, hold on. Let's talk about where your emotions are right now. Let's get you to a space where we can actually have a conversation, get you out of the feelings and into what is actually going on, right? Get out of the amygdala and into the prefrontal cortex.
But also, if you feel like your partner hates you, that's also a really good time to have a conversation.
Yeah, either with your partner or with yourself, right?
Yeah, we need to have a deep, like a seriously deep conversation about what emotional safety looks like and how we can give it to each other when we need it. And then maybe even how we can handle stress a little bit better so that we're not feeling these really strong emotions because hate is a really strong emotion.
Mhm.
And if you're feeling like someone hates you, that's like next level.
Yeah, and it really tells a lot about what type of attachment have you grown up with, and we're not digging into this, but it really gives you an example of if you have had, an anxious attachment all your life to your caregivers, and now you have that to your partner,
Mhm,
when they get upset with you, you feel like your survival is in question, you're going to dysregulate. What you have
mhm,
to understand is that you're responding because that's the basal level, that's how you respond. Or is it because this is actually your husband or wife or your live-in partner that you're like, I don't feel like they are here for my
mhm,
survival. Which one is it? You have to
mhm.
sit with yourself and figure that out.
I'm gonna give this example because I think it's a really good one. I had a client this morning, high schooler. She was saying that like sometimes she feels nostalgia when she's in the moment with her friends. And I'm like, so you feel nostalgia for a moment that you're existing inside of, right? Bring yourself to the present moment.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
remind yourself that, like, the present moment that you were sitting in is the one you should be operating from, not the past, not the future, this moment here, what's happening in front of us. So, arguments and conversations in intimate relationships are the same way. Am I responding from a place in the past? Am I responding to the future? Or am I responding to what is actually happening in front of my face right now?
Absolutely.
We also should talk guys, resentments. That's what we need to touch
Mhm.
on real quick. When I say you should operate from this present moment that we're currently in, not the past, guess what? That means setting aside the past. The past might show a pattern, right? If a pattern behavior is happening, the past might show that. Resentment is still feeling a certain way about that person because of the past.
That's what I was gonna say. So, thank you. Woo! All right. So, I was our brains are dumb, guys. It's just a
Mhm,
big mushy organ in the top of our head that's looking
mhm,
for connection, always looking for connection. Whatever it can connect, and you say, "Yeah, that's a great connection," it will continue to connect. So,
mhm,
you can't even use history of resentment as predicting future behavior. You
mhm,
can't do it because your brain's
mhm,
dumb. You gotta get yourself involved. We talk about the self, right? IFS. The self is perfect, the self is untraumatized, the self
mhm,
is fantastic. You gotta get that self involved and start really looking at what connects to what, not what
mhm,
your brain is telling you connects to what, because it's dumb. Your brain's dumb.
mhm.
Stop listening to it. That was my point. Great job, Adriana. Look at us.
I do agree with you though. Like our brains are a lot more simple than people want it to be. Like, yes, there's all these chemical things happening that are very complex, but at the end of the day, our brains are wired for our survival, which means, is there a pattern that detects a threat? Or is there a pattern that detects safety? It's basing it off the past. Again, in social relationships, we cannot always do that though. We cannot always like, and I see this in the animal kingdom, right? So like there have been instances lately where they've noticed that like troops of like male lions are starting to like gather together or elephants in ways that they haven't in the past. And that's a new social order that's happening because of whatever the circumstances in the environment that's going on. That's kind of how I see this communication thing is like if I'm basing my current emotions on a pattern from like 6 years ago or 2 years ago or 6 months ago or 2 weeks ago, but there's no proof in the present that that pattern is still happening. What the crap am I doing?
Mhm. Yeah. And remember, it doesn't have to be we're not saying that, like, you're terrified your partner's going to kill you, right?
Mhm,
That's not what this is not even about what they're doing. Well, I mean, technically, it's to
mhm.
your brain, it's not about even what they're doing at all. It's about how it's making your brain feel. So,
Yes, what
are
your
you
brain
feel
is doing, how your brain is operating and processing
Yeah.
information.
So your brain can be saying, your let's say your partner is just upset with the way that you spoke to them earlier. Does your brain could say, this is the danger here is that we're going to lose our autonomy, that
Mm,
we are going to be without a home because this is going to escalate immediately into divorce. We could, am I not the survival of it all, right? It's not necessarily physical, like life breath
mhm,
is gone, but that the
mhm.
life that you are experiencing is gone. That's what we mean when we say safety or unsafety, not unsafety. I don't think that's a word. Safe or unsafe? No, we're recording on a
Yes.
Saturday. I don't know.
We
I can't.
do
I'm not.
not mean physical safety. Physical safety is a whole different ballgame, and we are not touching that right now. So, we just mean emotionally. Like,
Mhm.
what are you experiencing emotionally?
From your dumb, dumb brain.
Mhm. And our brains are really that dumb, guys. Stop thinking that it's not. It really, truly is that dumb.
It is. Just that's
That's
all.
why we can form habits and routines, right? If I form a habit or a routine, that means I don't have to think about it. Why? Because my brain is literally that dumb. It can
Yes.
do the same thing over and over again without me having to actually pay attention.
Mm,
Over to spiritual intimacy really quickly. This isn't hard. You guys know, okay, I do not mean religion or like belief system when I say spiritual intimacy. I mean shared values, shared goals, shared growth, even. Those are types of like that is spiritual intimacy. Do we have these things in common? Are we passionate about the same things? And I really hate to say it these days, but sometimes it is. How do we vote? Do we vote on the same issues the same way? Do we feel the same way about those issues? Because sometimes the issues that we're dealing with are that deep.
sometimes, yes. My husband and I do not vote the same. So the difference though there is that while we don't share that intimacy, we are
Mhm,
incredibly invested on witnessing each other in our lives. So, meaning that we don't vote the same on everything, but we are very willing to hear each other talk
mhm,
about why we vote the way that we vote. And we are proud of each other for
mhm,
having maybe not we don't agree, but for having that autonomy to say this is what I believe and this is what I
mhm.
believe. And we're not going to just agree with each other for the sake of agreeing with each other.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
like part of the spiritual intimacy.
Absolutely.
Again, there are some issues that are that deep, that are
They,
black or white, but it's
they
not a
are.
lot.
You have but and again, you have to know that about yourself too, right? I
Mhm,
have clients who are so hardcore Democratic that there is no shot that they could be with
mhm,
anybody who walks the middle of the line. They would have to be with
mhm,
another fellow extreme Democrat or another fellow extreme Republican,
mhm.
other way. So, like, you have to also know how much of your life does that something like that take up? That is a
Mhm,
that's is that a major core value? Luckily for my husband and I, it's not, right? We
mhm,
have opinions and we have thoughts, but don't necessarily think that we're not so engrossed in that it becomes
mhm.
then a part of like the core of who we are as far
Yeah.
as the voting.
And I'm thinking about very specific issues when I say voting. But and I know we don't vote that way in South Carolina because we're not allowed because apparently we're not. But anyway,
Right. Right.
you also need to know if your partner is going to belittle your religious belief or not to your kids, right? Are you guys just an open household, whatever happens, happens? Or are you a household where this person so strongly believes in nothing and this person so strongly believes in something and they are so different and so extreme, right? Because we're talking about extremes, that our children are now negatively impacted because we're talking about each other in the horrible ways.
Right. Even if it feels like something that feels like it's something that should be validated about, like you should
Mhm,
feel validated in speaking to your children's way because you don't want them to grow up to be a specific way, then
mhm.
why did you marry that other person?
Right. That was not the person you should have married.
Exactly.
End of story.
Exactly.
I wish it wasn't the end of story, but it really truly is. Like some things, I think I just want people to know like, you have choices. You do not have to marry someone because you vibe well in the
Mm,
moment. You really have to dig deeper and make sure that you are sharing like actual values so that you know that you're compatible.
yeah. You can't really marry somebody you love, you gotta marry somebody you also like.
Right? And you have to like them through every stage of life. And you have to accept that this might be all you get. What's in front of you is all you get.
Yeah, and this should be the question every time, right? If
Mhm,
this person never ever changes, are you
mhm.
happy saying "I do"?
Right? A lot of people aren't, and they just get married anyway.
And then
It's
this is what
really
they can
funny.
see. It's
Then
very
they end up
strange.
in my office or Jules.
What is it?
I said, and then they end up in either one of our offices.
Right. Yeah. And then we're just like,
Sometimes both.
we are really good at sharing couples. This is very, very true. Thank God this
It's
is a
fun
therapy
though.
podcast. That sounded weird, but you know what I
No, no,
mean.
no, it's fun though. Like, it really truly I mean, I say fun in the sense of, like, understanding the human brain on this level, right? So fascinating.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Do you want
But
to talk about how to rebuld intimacy in this way?
yeah,
Spiritual and financial intimacy. Like, how do we rebuld? If this is something that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm listening to this and I'm hearing all these things and it feels right, but I don't want to leave my spouse. What are some ways that we can rebuild?
flipping conversation with your partner.
Yep.
The Goblin website does have like 75 insightful questions to deepen emotional intimacy. Please go to the Goblin website or Google that and 75 insightful questions to deepen emotional intimacy. Guys, it literally takes you through everything that we've
Yep.
talked about through this whole series. Not
Right.
just today's episode, but it really will help you like dig deeper and talk about those deeper, like have those deeper conversations with each other. But then also the Paired app is a great thing that I refer a lot of people to because it helps you have those difficult conversations in a fun way sometimes if you're actually doing it appropriately, the way you should be doing it.
Uh-huh.
And if you're going to be on your phone 24/7, you should be doing it the right way. Anyway,
Yes.
but like, or just go see somebody, do a consult with a therapist or two, see if you can make this work.
Right. Because you have to remember that going into asking these questions, you have to ask yourself, are you accessible? Are
Mhm.
you emotionally engaged? Are you responsive? You can't just ask the question and look at your partner and be like, are you going to answer? That's
Right.
not how this, you have to be just as engaged. And so going
Mhm.
to therapy can really help you give yourself the safe space to start exploring the
Mhm.
you that is you,
Yeah.
which it sounds like if you're having intimate issues, you're probably scared of.
Yeah. But also, like, don't be afraid. So I mentioned that, like, couples should go to the Gottman website to get those questions and ask each other. You could also ask yourself. Like, that should be the first person you're asking the question
Mhm.
to is
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
And if you can't answer it, why do you expect them to be able to? And
Hmm.
so, like, that's where you start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's next week? Our next time?
Next, trust. We're going to talk about trust. Yay! Trust is huge, guys. This is going to be
Mhm.
fun. Anyway.
Mhm.
You can join us on the Facebook group inside the therapy room unpacking mental health.
Yes, sounds yes. We also have this website, or we also have a website. Well, I do have a website in the works, but I don't know if y'all can tell we've been a little busy. But I'm actually wanting to reference the email. If you have
Uh-huh.
any questions, concerns, or anything that you want to talk about, or anything that's brought up that you don't feel like you feel like you want more answers to, we would love to do a question and answer episode at some point. So feel free to send us an email there, unpackingmentalhealth@gmail.com.
Yeah, we're here to just like help. And yeah, I'm like, I just want you guys to know we are not giving you personal advice as therapist, like as your personal therapist, right? Every situation is different, nuances matter, but we are general advice so that you can have a place to start or move forward from.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always hoping that anything that you hear in here helps maybe spark something that you feel gives you a little bit more depth to explore within yourself because you're never stuck in the relationship that you're in. And like you had said earlier, you never want to feel nostalgic in the moments that you're living.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not fair to you or other people around you. Awesome.
So join us next time for another honest conversation from inside the therapy room. Until then, breathe, reflect, and take one gentle step forward.